Hi everyone, welcome back to Wilde Reads. My name is Dave. It's book haul time again. This is the November book haul, part 1. Roll the titles. Hi everyone, welcome back. As I said in the introduction, it's book haul time again. Yes, I have hauled yet again. I can't keep out of them charity shops. So I've got about a dozen books here to show you, all second hand. I have bought some new books this month, but they will be appearing in part 2 of the book haul, which will be up in a week or so, as well as some other charity shop finds. So I'm filming this in natural light today. This is very strange. I usually film not in the dark, but I usually film with the help of an artificial lamp, so I'm trying some new lighting today. Does it work? Is it looking bright? Okay, so the first book we have, and I haven't de-stickered these, so apologies in advance for my books being stickered, but I haven't had time to sort through them and de-sticker them because I hate stickers. Anyway, so the first one is Crow Lake, and this is by Mary Lawson, published by Vintage, and this I think is a bit of a thriller. So let's find out. So Crow Lake is that rare find, a first novel so quietly assured, so compelling, and with an emotional charge so perfectly controlled that you sense at once that this is the real thing. A literary experience to relish, a book to lose yourself in, and a name to watch. Here is a gorgeous, slow-burning story of families growing up and tearing each other apart in rural northern Ontario, where tragedy and hardship are mirrored in the landscape. Centre stage are the Morrisons, whose tragedy is insidious and diversive. Orphaned young, Kate Morrison was her older brother Matt's protege. Her curious fascination for pond life fed his passionate interest in the natural world. Now a zoologist, she can identify organisms under a microscope, but seems blind to the tragedy of her own emotional life. She thinks she's outgrown her family, who were once her entire world, but she can't seem to outgrow her childhood or lighten the weight of their mutual past. So it's set in Ontario, Canada. Maybe that's one for Sean the Book Maniac. He's one of my Canadian buddies on BookTube. Sean, Canadian book, might be of interest to you, or anyone for that matter. So the second one I've got here is a book by Hilary Mantel. So obviously they've reprinted Hilary Mantel's back catalogue and put on the front here, twice winner of the Man Booker Prize. So this came out in 2005. Alison Hart, a medium by trade, tours the commuter belt towns of London with her flint-hearted sidekick Colette, passing on messages from dead ancestors. But behind her plump, smiling persona is a desperate woman. The next life holds terrors that she must conceal from her clients, and her own waking hours are plagued by the spirits of men from her past. They infiltrate her house, her body, and her soul, and the more she tries to be rid of them, the stronger and nastier they become. That sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Has anyone read? So this is Beyond Black by Hilary Mantel. Has anyone read that? That sounds absolutely brilliant. So not historical fiction, but that sounds really good. Beyond Black by Hilary Mantel, published by Fourth Estate. The next one is an author that I keep accumulating books from, but have yet to read any. This is Kate Atkinson. So next year I plan to read quite a lot of Kate Atkinson. I've got her debut lined up to read, and also I've got Life After Life, and what's the other Kate Atkinson book I've got? Come on, it's been on the channel before. A God in Ruins, there it is. So this one is called One Good Turn. This is published by Black Swan. I've just noticed a very strange thing in this book. On the title page here, there's a little stamp which says withdrawn from stock. I don't know if you can see that there. See that little stamp there? Withdrawn from stock. There you go. Wonder if can the booksellers amongst you tell me what that means? Why would the book be stamped with withdrawn from stock? Was this book withdrawn from sale for any reason? So anyway, it's One Good Turn by Kate Atkinson. It is summer. It is the Edinburgh Festival. People queuing for a lunchtime show witness a road rage incident, a near homicidal attack which changes the lives of everyone involved. Jackson Brodie, ex-army, ex-police, ex-private detective, is also an innocent bystander until he becomes a murder suspect. As the body count mounts, each member of the teeming Dickinson cast contains a kernel of the next, like a set of nesting Russian dolls. They are all looking for love or money or redemption or escape, but what each actually discovers is their own true self. I think I've just found 2 novels for my December TBR. Right here, the first couple I come to. Now this book is a book, this is Edna O'Brien's The Little Red Chairs. Now I've got a bit of a history with this book because I have owned this book, to my knowledge, I've owned this book twice before. Once, when I first bought it, I had it in hardback and I lent it to someone and never got it back. And I've fallen out of contact with that person now, so I've got no chance of getting my original hardback back. And then I found another copy, so I bought it in paperback. And then when we went to Bulgaria in June, I took it with me as part of my holiday reading. Started it, got 3 chapters in, and then promptly left the book on the plane. Idiot. So I bought it again. So Edna O'Brien, The Little Red Chairs, published by Faber. You know, Faber are fast becoming my favourite publisher. So this is about when a man who calls himself a faith healer arrives in a small west coast Irish village. The community is soon under the spell of this charismatic stranger from the Balkans. One woman in particular, Fidelma McBride, becomes enthralled in a fatal attraction that leads to unimaginable consequences. You can see what drew me to this book in the first place. It sounds utterly fantastic, and I can't wait to get to that one. And I am keeping a tight grip on this copy until I've read it. The next one is one that I found. It's a vintage Red Spine classic, which I love. So this is Pasternak, Dr. Zhivago, a new translation by Richard Pevere and Laura Volokowski. So I've never read Dr. Zhivago before. One of my goals for the new year is to read more fiction in translation. So I thought I'd give Dr. Zhivago a try. If anyone's read it, please let me know. What do you think of it? I know it's a very famous book and a very famous, I think there's been a couple of adaptations on the big screen. So the next book I got was, this is a 20th anniversary edition of The Beach by Alex Garland. Now I read this a long time ago, and I can't really remember an awful lot about it. But when I say I read it a long time ago, I mean a very long time ago, after it first came out. So this is the 20th anniversary of it. They've really done a good job with this. Penguin have done a super job with this. So it's got a new introduction by John Niven, and it's a classic coming-of-age novel telling of a paradise found and lost. Backpacker Richard lands in East Asia in search of an earthly utopia. In Thailand, he is given a map promising an unknown island, a secluded beach, and a new way of life. What Richard finds when he gets there is breathtaking, more extraordinary, more frightening than his wildest dreams. But how long can paradise survive here on Earth, and what lengths will Richard go in order to save it? Brilliant book. I remember reading this. Absolutely fantastic book, and I'm really looking forward to giving that a reread, although it probably won't be now to the new year. And then I picked up a book by Philip Hensher, Scenes from an Early Life. I love the way they've repackaged Philip Hensher's earlier books with this sort of Polaroid imagery on the front. I have another Hensher book here, and all credit to Fourth Estate for doing this, because Philip Hensher, you may know, wrote a book that was shortlisted for the Booker Prize in about 2013 called The Northern Clemency, which was huge. It was a massive, great tome of a book. In fact, I've got a copy of it here. So he wrote this, which is it's huge. You know, it's 730 odd pages, so it's a tome. But I don't think I've held this before. So there's a couple of Philip Hensher books there which have got gorgeous covers. So Scenes from an Early Life and King of the Badgers. I think I've hauled King of the Badgers before. As soon as I'm back onto the fiction reading, because of course at the moment it's non-fiction November. So up next we've got God's Own Country by Ross Raisin. This was shortlisted for the Guardian First Book Award in 2008. I'm going to start speeding through these a little bit more because I don't want this video to overrun. I know people get, I know that I'm starting to learn there's a bit of a threshold with booktube videos of about between 12 and 15 minutes. So I've got a few more to pack in, so I'm going to crack on. So God's Own Country, Ross Raisin, published by Penguin. Got that one as well. The next one is a book that you may well be familiar with. This is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This was winner of the Orange Prize, which of course now the Baileys. No, it's now the Woman's Prize for Fiction. These prizes keep on changing sponsors. I can't keep up. So this was £1.50 in a charity shop, published by Bloomsbury. I'm not sure how... I do struggle with books about classics. I'm seeing the words Helen of Sparta and Troy. I'll challenge myself to read that, but I've heard great things about it, so I am looking forward to reading that. Next I have a collection of short stories by Somerset Maugham. For those of you not familiar with Somerset Maugham, I implore you, go and read Cakes and Eyal. Fantastic. A collection of short stories. I love collections of short stories. I use them when I'm stuck or in a bit of a reading slump. Short stories are a favourite way of mine of breaking a reading slump, breaking out of a reading slump. Especially short stories from Alice Munro and people like that. Fantastic. Short stories, Somerset Maugham. The next one I've got is a book that is very familiar to a lot of you. Elizabeth Strout's My Name is Lucy Barton, longlisted for the Booker in 2016. I didn't get round to reading this, which is a shame, but I've got a copy of it now, so I'm going to dive into that one at the nearest opportunity. And the last one is a bit of a risk, and I bought it really because because it's cover porn, and this is a gorgeous cover. You can see like there. So it's by Ellen Horan, and this is published by Blue Door. I'm not familiar with Blue Door. Blue Door is an imprint of HarperCollins, yet another imprint of HarperCollins, but I'm not familiar with this book. But the premise seems really good. When the brutally stabbed and nearly decapitated body of a society dentist is found in his town at 31 Bond Street in Lower Manhattan, this is the question that grips America for months. All the evidence points to his elegant and mysterious lodger and housekeeper, Emma Cunningham, who is immediately put under arrest and soon charged with murder. A conviction is sure to catapult flamboyant District Attorney Abraham Oakey into the mayor's seat, but one formidable obstacle stands in his way: the defence attorney Henry Clinton, who risks his whole career to help prove the vulnerable widow's innocence. This is set in New York 4 years before the outbreak of the American Civil War and based on a true story. 31 Bond Street is a gripping mystery and a richly detailed recreation of a lost age. That sounds good. That sounds really good. So again, looking forward to reading that. It's gorgeous artwork, gorgeous cover. It's in a trade paperback size, which I love. And that is it. We have run slightly over time. I do apologise. I think that's about it. What other updates have I got for you? Not much really. I think that's about it for now. So until the next time I see you, which will be, this is going out on a Wednesday. There'll be another video on a Sunday. You should know by now. I upload on a Sunday and a Wednesday. So whatever you're doing this week, enjoy your books, and I'll see you very soon for another BookTube video. Take care. Bye bye.